Hey everybody, this is Amy Major again with Spirit Rescue Talk. I'm really excited to be here and do another wonderful interview. I have invited SeAira on because she has worked with me in the past. She's also taken a few of my classes, which means that she is A plus at doing the work that she does. Not that I'm biased at all or anything because of the training she's had, but I think she's an amazing medium, intuitive, and I think she has a lot to offer. So I want to introduce SeAira. Hi.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I adore you. You know that we have a really great energy connection together, but I know everything there is to know about you. Why don't you tell the audience or people watching just a little bit about you so they know who you are?
Okay, awesome. So I like to tell people I came out of the closet fairly recently into my mediumship and psychic abilities. Um, when you're born with the ability to connect to spirit and souls that have crossed over, it's always been a part of your life. You just don't really understand until you get older that like what you see or what you hear or what goes on for you is a different reality than the people around you. So when my dad passed away in 2017, that kind of catapulted me into my spiritual journey. And over the last few years, I've kind of I've seen a lot of different practitioners. I've gone to a bunch of different people that do different modalities. I started to really enhance my own gift set as I started to understand my chakra system a little bit more and dive into all of the imprints that I had within my soul. And over time, I started to realize that like the intuition that I had for like, what was about to happen or things that I could see about people in their past were different things that like not everybody did. So I did have spirits coming to me a lot in that process. I own a marketing company, so I would go see clients and all of a sudden like their grandfather would be there chilling with me asking me for to get a message across to the client that I was working with. And it was really uncomfortable. I'm like, you gotta try to set that boundary. But I started to want to learn a little bit more about these souls that were stuck that were trying to get these messages to people. So that's when I really started to dive into spirit rescue and discovered the whole spirit rescue world of that veil that like we have that's between us and them that sometimes it's not easy for everybody to see, but we can all feel it. We all know it's there.
Now, did you ever connect to a certain type of spirit? Like, did they all have a common theme, or did they all have different reasons why they stayed earthbound?
um that's a really good question. To be honest with you, most of the ones that I have connected to were really, really low density type of emotions. Like there was always some sort of trauma or addiction or, different things like that that were involved when I had them like coming to me. It wasn't ever you hear those like light and fluffy stories that like people had like I did have my grandmother visit me when I was a child with this big glowing white light around her, but these were different. The ones that were coming to me definitely needed something to be resolved for them.
Right. And that's what kind of led you to believe that they weren't in the light, because usually
Yeah,
spirits, they're looking for
yeah,
you rather than giving you something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so finding that you're having all these spirits that are coming when you're with other people, what did you think you really needed to do when you were in those circumstances? Did you have a natural kind of idea of what to do, or do you think that it kind of took some time for you to learn how to get them to cross over?
No, it took me so much time. That's about that time frame was when I met you, and I had all of these spirits coming to me, and I was just like blocking them. I was just telling, like, on occasion I would tell that, like, I would be the messenger, and I would relay those messages if it was appropriate. It's not always appropriate, but I did find a I found it really difficult for me to create that barrier for myself to not be a beacon for these spirits to just keep attacking me essentially to try to get messages through.
Now, I know a lot of people have that problem. Do you want to explain your process of being able to shield yourself so you're not that beacon? Because so many people that are going to be watching probably have that experience where they're just being smothered.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely had to get really clear with my own energy. I had to really I found that like a lot of my psychic abilities were very strong, but my energetic abilities, if that makes sense, like my sense to feel and recognize what's mine and what's not mine was really I struggled with that a lot. So for me, the very first thing I needed to do was to be able to determine like my own energy versus someone or something else's energy, through being able to understand my own chakra system and experience that. But then also after I did that, I did have some like protection things that with your guidance, Amy, I was able to create this shield for myself to be able to protect myself from these entities. I know everybody does it a little bit differently when they shield their energy. I have this big like silver egg that I essentially just encapsulate myself in every single morning. And I also have a gatekeeper that I work with. I have a gatekeeper that I have asked to be either on my tools that I have earrings or stones that I wear on my jewelry. So I'll set a gatekeeper on there, or sometimes I've had to ask for a gatekeeper to come in and like sit at my aura with me, like if I go to events or things like that, to be able to assist me
Wow, that
with
sounds
those.
great. Now, I know you mentioned the silver egg, and a lot of people that are doing mediumship classes, they're all told to kind of put a beautiful white light energy bubble around them. Any particular reason why you don't use the white light?
So I in the very beginning I did. Um and I found that I was literally being woken up in the middle of the in the middle of the night to things that are like coming at me, and I'm like just sitting there like shielding myself like white light all around me, and I felt like I was a beacon for these things that were just being attracted to me from that white light. So I sat with my guides and spirit and asked like what do I do to get this to stop happening, and that's when they gave me the silver egg like metal shields that I kind of put up around myself.
Exactly, because a lot of mediums that don't do rescue work, the white light is just fine. But those
Hmm.
that are tuned to more of various levels of spiritual activity, that white light's going to be a huge beacon, like a lighthouse for all
Yeah.
spirits that are looking for the white light. So it actually enhances
Right.
the experience even more. It doesn't protect you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're told your entire life, like, go to the white light, right? Like
Mhm.
we hear it on movies, like we hear it in multiple different places, like just follow the white light. And so that stuff's already been programmed into you. So when you
Yeah,
cross or you don't cross over, essentially, when you pass away, like you're still gonna have the knowledge and the awareness of all of those things. So you're gonna try
exactly.
to try to find the white light.
Now, you talked a little bit about being discernful, about knowing your energy and the difference of spiritual energy with you. Do you notice that you sense that with other people as well, such as it's not when you see someone and it's not them, there could be a possible attachment circumstance. Do you see that?
Yes. I think that that's something that I am able to see when I look at someone. I'm able to see if there's something that's just off with them, and I'll have to ask questions. I ask my spirit team like questions if I'm working with someone and I see that, and they explain it to me. But if I step into their energy and I'm trying to work with them to clear things out, like I'll immediately feel it when I start to step into their energy and feel it. So I kind of do it on two different levels. I like to ask first because I don't really like to share that energy with people. Um
You
it's
don't know how to
safer.
respond. Like, oh,
Right. Yeah, it's a little safer for me to just like watch in the
right.
background.
Now, do you see anything in particular when you notice that they have an attachment? Is there anything that kind of signals to you something's going on?
Um I normally notice in their like in their physical body. I'm able to kind of pick up on, like, for example, if somebody has like an ailment. There was one experience I had where there was this lady that had her liver was like failing her. She was actually like going to the doctor to have that repaired. But I was able to physically like look at her, and I just knew that like her liver was not doing well, and she had like once I was able to like recognize physically seeing those symptoms on her body, I was able to see that she had so many attachments. She had so many different things. It was actually during a table tipping session. I actually had to ask her to get off of the table because the energy just was brought right down to a place where I didn't want the table to be. So I had to
Yeah.
ask her to get off of the
Now,
table.
table tipping. We haven't
Yeah.
discussed that on this yet. Do you want to give people just a little bit of a background on table tipping? What exactly does it do? And maybe a little bit of a disclaimer on
Yes.
the do's and don'ts as well. We don't want a whole bunch of people
Yes.
don't go and doing it.
No. So I'm a huge advocate for I love doing table tipping. I also have a spirit board that I work with. I am a huge advocate for making sure the discernment that we go back to, like making sure that you are capable of recognizing the difference between your energy, your higher self, because I always connect to my higher self to pull in the information that I'm getting, and making sure that you're able to discern what the difference of that being from a spirit that's coming in or someone that is like at the table that you're working with. So these are all like different forms of divination, like a pendulum or your tarot cards or your what do you call them, the dowsing rods. The table or the spirit board, those are all different forms of divination, and people utilize them in different ways when they don't fully understand what they're doing. They can open doors to things that they do not want to open doors to. You can create portals with them. For example, the Ouija board, my spirit guides told me when I first started getting into feeling comfortable enough to discern my own energy from something else, I really wanted to work with Ouija board, and I had actually gone so far as to pick one up at a yard sale, and my guides are screaming at me. Right, I'm walking around this yard sale holding this. They're like, "Put it back, put it back, put it back." I had a whole pile of things in my hand. I sat it down to like sift through the pile of things, and I picked up everything, and it was gone. So I was like, okay, like it had like fallen off of the back of the table. I was like, all right, I'm not going to use it. So my guides actually explained to me after that that the way that the Ouija board was made was actually in a way to pull in. There's a very certain entity, a very specific entity that the Ouija board is working with. And it doesn't matter who is doing it, that Ouija board is always going to connect to that one entity. And it's always not for your highest and best good.
Right.
So after that experience, my guides were telling me that I need to look for a spirit board and try to find something that was like homemade, something that I was able to clear and make sure that I set my intentions with it and I was able to connect to it. So that's how I got into the spirit board. But the same thing with my table for table tipping. You definitely want to make sure that you have a process set up in place to keep your tools safe and protected, and that you are able to discern when something comes through that is not for your highest and best good. And if you're not able to do that when you're just doing readings or even your tarot cards, if you're not able to do that yet, then you're not ready to work with a table or a spirit board.
Well, I know you probably don't need to use the table at all or the spirit board because you channel really well.
People
Everything
like,
with the pen, and you write. You're
yeah,
constantly writing
I do.
spirit world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people like to see the things, they like to have that, like,
I like the show.
they do like the show. And it's fun. I mean, it is fun to be able to like sit at the table or have the board or whatever. But like you said, I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm just channeling things and I can just open up that line of communication
Oh
and
yeah.
just let it flow.
Oh yeah. Well, on top of using the tools, I know that you have done a few house clearing trips as well. Do you have a
Yeah.
story about any house clearing or any experiences that you had? I know you've done a few with me and
Yeah.
some interesting ones, but maybe if you can kind of give a story on one of your experiences.
Sure. I'll give a story on my inexperienced experience since that seems to be the road that we're kind of leading down right now. I have a family member who reached out to me. She was really uncomfortable with the place that she was living in. It was a place that she was renting until her home was built. So she called me and she's like, "Hey, can you please do this clearing for me?" So I checked in with my guides and they told me, "You're not ready for this." Um, this is something I will always tell everybody. Like whenever I get a reading, whenever I do anything, I always check with my spirit team first to make sure if it is aligned with my highest and best good, or that I am capable of doing the things that these people are asking of me, because I feel like I have a personal responsibility to these people that are asking me for help in what I'm doing to make sure that I'm capable of accomplishing these things that these people are asking. So my guides told me, "No, you're not ready." I didn't listen. I did it anyway. So I showed up, I saged the house, um, Palo Santo, and I did all kinds of like noise, sound healing, different modalities. I even created a couple of little sigil jars and did some of those and set those up in different areas of the house to try to keep things away and capture things and stuff. And that night, I was attacked in my sleep by 3 entities that they ended up like, long story short, there were just different things that happened. I literally was like split because there was so much damage that was done to me while I was sleeping. And so I had to call a friend for reinforcements and he walked me through the process of like doing it correctly, healing myself, making sure that I was supported to begin with. And then we went back and we went through the home and cleared the home. We talked to every single one of the spirits that was there, helped them cross over. We closed, there were a bunch of portals that were in that home that we had to close. There was the land had some stuff that was going on with it. So there was all kinds of like generational type of things that happened because of the curse that was essentially put onto the land from a really long time ago. So it was definitely one of those experiences where you gotta do it to learn, right? Sometimes.
No, I know we're going into like the Halloween season. I know it's almost September. Tomorrow's September.
Mm,
And a lot of, what they would call haunted tours.
yeah.
going to start popping up a lot, especially in the New England area and
Yes.
in the world. And there's a lot of very inexperienced people going into these places and bringing up your story of saying,
Right.
guide said don't because you weren't ready. You did it anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the people that are going don't even have your level of
Right.
experience, and they're kind of walking into these places that could potentially be haunted. Do you
Right.
have any advice for them going into these situations? Other
Um, so,
than
right. So, I mean, to be honest with you, like for me, understanding things on the level that I understand them now and being able to recognize that these spirits are stuck souls. I mean, we can go into like, there's all kinds of different, like, there's entities and, there's all kinds of different levels of things. But when you think about it on a perspective of like ghost, hauntings and things like that, um, you're supporting an industry that goes out and makes money off of people's sadness and sorrows, and these people are stuck and they are not able to cross over to be able to heal their souls on a big scale. So I think that like I think just being able to understand that, like, yeah, it seems fun and it seems like it's, I did it before I knew what I could do. So I can't shame anybody for doing it, but I think that just bringing awareness to people to say, like, instead of like supporting these people making money off of keeping these poor stuck souls here, then I would just encourage people to do a little bit more research on what a spirit, what a stuck spirit kind of experiences
right.
and what they're going through.
There's plenty of shows out there that show haunted locations and the investigation
Hmm.
of these haunted locations.
Yeah.
But my guys even said by watching these shows, people are susceptible to attack and attachment
Yeah.
because just like you're talking to me, we're exchanging energy. Even
Yeah.
if it's something from the past,
Hmm.
energy goes through these channels and
Yep.
doesn't exist on the other side. So
No.
if there's a medium or untrained medium watching one of these shows, the energy just jumps right onto them. So people need to be kind of mindful
Yep.
of doing their energy, their protection in that. And
Yep.
it is less hostile. It's less of a chance of them being attacked by watching it on TV rather than going to a haunted location.
Hmm.
I think maybe, in these investigations that they're doing, maybe a little education,
Yeah.
how to work with spirits, how to
Right.
with them, protecting yourself might
Hmm.
might be something. Of course, we don't want to educate ourselves when we're trying to have fun.
Right.
It
That's
comes
my
down to
mission. That's
respect.
my main mission here. So I'm all about
Exactly.
truth and education. So, but no, I agree. I think that, as an untrained medium, when I was younger, I was obsessed with haunted shows. And, now that I'm older and I understand, what's happening on a deep level, but also now I recognize why I was so attracted to those things. Like
Mhm.
I definitely strongly believe that I'm meant to work with them, and I might not have determined exactly what my mission is here yet, but I know that I'm able to work with them, and there's a reason for it. So
Now, if people are attracted to these type of situations and they think they may have some type of gift, what do you suggest for them as far as avenues to take to look into more enhancement of their abilities and possibly, hopefully, a little protection of them as well?
um so I mean, you have two books that you wrote. I'm gonna do like a little shameless plug here, but in all honesty, like, the information that you provide, Amy, has been mind blowing for me to be able to put a meaning to the things that I was seeing. So I think that a really great place to start would be to do a little bit of research on all of the things that you talk about in both of your books that you have published. Do you want to say the names of them since we're
Oh,
here?
they know.
They
They,
know. Okay.
yeah.
Um, but in all honesty though, it really like having your perspective and being able to break down the perspective that you have from your experience has helped support me in my growth so much over the last couple of years that we've worked together.
Thank you. Well, I've seen your work, and when we've done a lot of house clearings together, you were really focused on the energy of the people living in the house rather than
Hmm.
the ghosts in the house. They were kind of attracted to me as
Yeah.
through, but you were really focused on the healing part
Hmm.
of the people that were in the house and their projections. And
Yeah.
so, can you explain a little bit about how people can actually influence their living space and maybe contribute to maybe an alternate type of haunting where they don't actually have a ghost, but rather they
Hmm.
actually be creating a scenario in their home that mimics a haunting?
Yeah. Um, so I think that there's definitely two parts to that conversation. I think for me, being able to understand that like we create our own reality inside of us first, based off of like 99% of what we do is unconscious. So if we are able to recognize, the thoughts that we have that are going through our head all day long, the things that we experienced when we were children that we just tuck away in a drawer that we don't ever want to open again, like different things like that can create an attraction to spirits, but they can also create an identity themselves if we give them too much attention. So if we are, constantly thinking about some sort of traumatic event that has happened to us when we were a child, um, that trauma can surface itself as an a haunting and essentially, and it can bring forward a lot of those feelings, and it's going to feel to you like it is a haunting because they're all of your fears that are being presented to you.
Right.
So yeah, that was definitely something that I'm really focused on with people. I have the ability to kind of just see through the facade that
Mhm.
people put up, and I think in understanding that a little bit better, it's just the layers that people kind of put on themselves to protect themselves from the things that happen to them.
Kind of make people aware of their projections that's
Yeah.
in their surrounding environment, and also when there's a lot of situations that happen in a household, such as abuse or
Yeah.
or any type of fighting over a long period of time, that creates energy clusters in
Yep.
the. And so when you walk into the space, you may feel like a really heavy denseness in the
Hmm.
area, like, oh my gosh, our place is haunted. But
Yeah.
inside, it's just their own energy that's clustered together, because like energy attracts like energy. It just
Yeah.
becomes this dense form of energy. And a lot of people like, oh, I'm being attacked, when really they just have to own their own stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
you know?
Exactly.
And you really do a really great job as counseling people, because you're able to step in and see what they're actually projecting into their home, and really spend a lot of time with people when we were doing the house clearings. And
Thank you.
I think you really did a great job. And I know you do that work outside the house clearings as too. Ed too.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about the type of services that you provide. So that way, if people like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love her energy, I want to go see her, what can they
Sure.
expect for services from you?
Sure. So I do like I'll do the psychic mediumship type of readings. I'll connect to, if I do psychic readings, I don't mind doing face to face because I do channel a lot of my information. I prefer to do just an email with your information so that I can just sit in a space with your energy so that I can just channel anything that comes up. My team, I always work with your team in helping you solve problems. Like a lot of times I will pick up on information that, people are struggling with certain things, and I'll be able to give them a little bit more of a big picture of, the things that maybe they're not able to see about that circumstance.
Mm.
So that's what I do with my psychic readings. I also do mediumship, so I am able to connect to loved ones to get messages through. A lot of times, I do find like the mediumship readings are just a loved one that comes through to give you information that you need for your highest and best.
Nothing to be scared.
Um, no, exactly. And I also do, I've actually been doing gift readings for people, helping them, um, determine where they're at currently with their gift set to kind of help them be aware of what they have for gifts. I mean, if you're if you don't have the gift of being a medium and you're like striving to try to connect to these souls that have crossed over, then it's discouraging. So I've worked with a few people recently to do the gift readings and then gift support training, kind of walking them through with their support of their spirit team how, their gift set works and what to, expect in certain situations. And a lot of healing ends up coming up in that process, things that they need to heal to be able to kind of get to the next level within their gift set. Um,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. Maybe then comes to you first and then figure out what kind of training they need after.
Yeah, exactly. It's been really helpful. Sometimes on their very first intro with the psychic reading, and then I offer a little bit more support, or sometimes they come to me after, they've done a chakra class or something like that. So they have a little bit of an awareness, but they're starting to notice things are a little haywire and they don't know what to do. So,
Well, we're definitely shifting right now. So a lot of people are waking up.
mhm.
This awakening, and then in the Kundalini awakening, they're kind of allowing themselves to be more open. And
Yeah.
so they're reaching out and saying, tell me what I need to
Mhm.
do. As
Yeah.
really harnessing whatever it is that I can do.
Yeah.
I'm very lost. And have you ever thought about maybe working with kids that are
I actually, it's so interesting that you say that because this morning, this has come up to me a couple of times. I homeschool my own children, and so I've taught my kids how to use their pendulum. I've taught them how to use my runes, and they like to, play with different tools of divination. And I had a friend come to me recently and tell me that they took their daughter's pendulum from her because she was using it and she just didn't know what she was doing. So I was like, hey, like I could probably offer some sort of like homeschool class on, you know, divination and like they're, walking them through their chakras or different things like that. So I love that you just said that.
I know kids, you can't use pendulums to cheat on tests.
No,
Doesn't work
it's
that way.
not for your highest and best good.
No, they may think so, but no. Right. So it was really awesome to have you on and kind of explaining your process. I know you talked a lot about, kind of messing up in the beginning and not really listening to your guides, but I think we all have to go through that in order
Yeah,
to become masters. We're not
absolutely.
born masters. We're born to learn. So
Hmm.
we need to kind of go through these sticky situations in our
Yep,
development. I think it's essential.
I
I remember
agree.
when I first started, you didn't want to see me back then. It was a completely different situation and probably
That's
the
right.
most needy student you'd ever imagine. So I think that it's really great that you're thinking about working with kids and those that are looking to expand their abilities. And I think you're an essential part to play in their journey. So
Thank you.
how
I
can people
appreciate that.
contact you? Is there a website or is there something they can contact?
So right now I'm working on a website and I do have a Facebook page. It is SeAira Sage. It's a business Facebook page. So it's spelled SeAira, and if you want to just send an email, you can send an email to sierrasage@gmail.com.
And we can have them listed too on the posting for this. And
Okay.
so excited to share your information and work.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be working again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple of those house clearings, because let me tell you, some of them were very interesting, and we did actually tape a few of them. So
I love
hopefully
that.
we'll get
Yeah.
them loaded so people can see. I was
Yeah.
here back then, but it's still, trust me, it's still the same.
I
So
had hair back then.
thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
And thank you everyone for watching, and I look forward to the next episode. We have some really great guests coming, especially towards the Halloween season, because let me tell you, it's going to get spooky. So I'll see you next time. Bye.